Hey, so this time I decided to make a bowl, and it's been a while since I've turned a bowl. Over the years, I maybe made a half a dozen of these, but it's been at least a year or two since I've turned one. Anyhow, I made this one out of a block of cherry wood, a 6x6x3 block of wood. And there's certainly lots of different ways to make these. So anyway, stick around for the video. I'll show you the techniques that I use to make this. And out on my website at woodlogger.com, you can find more detailed pictures and information about how I made this as well. So stick around for the video and I'll show you how I made this. So to get started with my bowl, I'm going to find my center point on my block of wood that I've got. A ruler is really the easiest way to do that. I'll strike a line going across. That'll give me my midpoint. Next up, I'll use my compass to trace an outline of a circle. And the point of doing this is that eventually this is going to go over to my bandsaw where I will trim off the end pieces so that I can get this as round as possible so that when I actually get ready to turn it on the lathe, there's little that I'll need to do. Next up, I'm going to drill a hole in the middle, and that will be as kind of a starter point so that the screw that I'm going to use to put in this, which will be used over on the lathe, it makes it a little bit easier for it to go in. Okay. That's probably pretty good. That should give me a start. Yeah. Okay, so got this piece ready. I'm going to head over to the bandsaw next and trim off my edges, and then I'll be ready to put my screw into my hole, and then I'll head over to my lathe. So I've removed all the edges off my block of wood here, and next up I'm going to install this wood screw, or wood chuck screw, sometimes it's called, onto my talon. And my talon is simply installed here on the base of my lathe. And once I get this in here, I can tighten it up, tighten my talon up to hold the screw in place so it won't move. And then all I have to do is feed my bowl onto the wood screw. Alright, so I'm ready to start turning this. I'm going to use a bowl gouge to clean up the outside corners. I'll probably move over to a skew after I get done with that. And then I'll start to shape the outside of the bowl. It'll kind of make sense once I start removing pieces. This will actually be the inside. So I'm going to build my outside first. We'll eventually end up flipping this around and mounting it back onto the talon. But for now, I'm going to start making the outside and kind of move it in. And I'll also leave a place for the talon to actually hold on to the bottom of the bowl. So I'm going to work on that next. Okay, so I've got my bowl, I think, looking the way I want it to look on the outside. I may clean it up just a little bit when I flip it over. In the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and mark on the bottom a place to trim out for my talon to grab a hold of it. I've set this for about 1¼ inches. That should give me about 2½ inches to find something to grab onto. Okay, got that marked. Next up, I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to clear out a small indentation, maybe about, maybe about 1/4 inch. I'll have to double check. But I think it's about 1/4 inch that I'm going to go deep in. Then when I flip this around, the talon will sit inside, we'll expand it, it'll hold the bowl, and then I can do the inside of the bowl next. Okay, I think I've got my center, or my hole for it to be flipped around and hold on to. I think that looks pretty good. I went about 1/8 inch deep to ensure that it would hold. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and remove my bowl. I'm going to flip this around, and then the talon will actually hold the bowl from the bottom.
Okay.
All right, I think I've got my bowl all turned to how I want it to look. Next up, I'm going to sand it. I've actually got this 5-pack of sanding paper that I'm going to use, and it starts at a grit of 150 and works its way all the way up to 600. So I'm going to work on that next, and then after I do that, I'm going to apply some wax to it that I think will make the bowl look even better. And I'm going to work on that now. All right, well, I think this turned out pretty well. I applied a food grade mineral oil to it. I'm just gonna kind of buff it up a little bit now with just a cotton cloth. We'll give it just a little extra shine. There we go. I think I'm all good. I think this turned out pretty well. I'll apply some wax to the inside here and kind of buff that off, or buff it in a little bit and make it look good. But all in all, I think the bowl turned out pretty well. So be sure to check out my website at woodlogger.com. I'll post more detailed information about how I made this, as well as other projects that I have going on in my shop.